Welcome to the Grassroots Army podcast. This platform is for common sense people looking for up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information without the hot garbage corporate media bias. The power. You never know what small act that you may say or do that may literally change the lives of millions tomorrow. And don't you ever think that you can't make a difference, because you can. Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Hey, that's our new intro. I hope you all enjoyed that. Got to give a shout out to my crew over at AZ Business Solutions. Obviously, if you've been following me over the last 4 years, they have done all of our media, and they are just a fantastic crew. So Tony and the team at AZ, thank you very much for doing that intro. Welcome to the Grassroots Army podcast. I am, of course, your host, Garrett Soldano, and my goodness gracious, just like that intro said, do I have some hot garbage for all of you today. Man, when it's the weekend, the hot garbage really comes out, that is for sure. So let's get right into it. Exciting time, because President Trump is now on TikTok, which a lot of people are a little upset that he's over on TikTok. Look, we have to reach every single voter possible. And the younger generation, even my generation, is over on TikTok. And the guy has momentum. After he was convicted of, I think, 34 counts of this sham trial that he was involved in, they raised something ridiculous in the 24 hours after that. I seen low estimates of, over 50 to 200 million. I know someone who has a lot of money, a billionaire, donated, I think, $100 million to his PAC. So it's on like Donkey Kong. That's for sure. They are fundraising nonstop. But just to give everybody a little perspective, okay, because old Weekend at Bernie's candidate is also over on TikTok, Joe Biden. Let's see what he's at. So the Biden headquarters, this is their official TikTok for Biden. He's got 344,000 followers, okay? And he's been on there for a while. I don't know how long, but the Biden team has been over there for a while operating, and you should. TikTok is a great platform to get the younger generation. So President Trump decides to get over on TikTok, and literally in 24 hours, he's posted one video and he already has 3.6 million followers. And the first video they posted with Dana White, I think that says 61 million views. So let's just go back to the old Biden team. There we are, 344,000 followers compared to 3.6 million in very, very short amount of time. So obviously, President Trump has a lot of momentum right now. And unfortunately, the only thing left for these leftist communists to do, and I'm going to start calling them communists, and I'm going to tell you why here in a second. These communists, the next thing that they're going to want to do is take them out. That's it. That's the only way that you're going to stop the Trump train, is if you take him out. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But don't be surprised if there is an attempt on President Trump's life. Don't be surprised, folks, because that is the only way that they're going to be able to stop this momentum. Which brings me to the Dems over on X. Again, if you are not over on X, you got to get back on that platform. It is fantastic, because the Dems just literally throw hissy fits and then they get attacked. See, back in the day when Elon Musk did not own it and their conservative voices were censored and shadow banned and deplatformed, the libs really thought that their world and what they live in was reality. But come to find out, guess what? It's not. Now there's open season on topics, and these people try to, say that what they believe is true, and they get attacked nonstop. So I've been having a blast over on X. I really have. There are some trolls that constantly attack me, but literally all I do is ask them to come on the show, as you're watching right now, and defend their stances. And all I hear is crickets. They go dark for a while. Then they come out of their mom's basement and they attack me again. I simply say, hey, why don't you come on my show and talk about it? Because healthy conversation between two people that believe different things is healthy, right? and they go dark. They don't want to come on the show because they hide behind their handle. See, I don't have nothing to hide, and I would love nothing more than to have these folks on to talk about what their belief is and what they stand for, and then have conversation. And I'm hoping that one of them does. But the Extreme Michigan folks love Matt Maddock. Holy cow, they're constantly attacking the Maddocks. I love the Maddocks, Michonne and Matt. They're close personal friends of mine. But Matt got attacked yesterday for wearing this T-shirt, and I love it. How to Spot a Communist. I mean, what a great T-shirt. And the Extreme Michigan and the Libs have lost their freaking minds over there. So they're calling for him to be censored, removed from all committee assignments, and ultimately refuse to seat him entirely. They are just throwing an entire hissy fit at Matt Maddock. And Michonne, in all her glory, comment, wait till you see his 4th of July T-shirt. So it's great. And I invited Extreme Michigan on the podcast too, to talk about what they stand for. They have yet to respond. So again, there's the open invitation for Extreme Michigan, and there's another one, Michigan Libs, that are pretty consistent in attacking me and others. You guys are more than welcome. Come on the show and stand for what you believe in, and see if you would like to have some healthy conversation. That is for sure. And so what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to my team today, is I think I'm going to try to raise some money for President Trump through merch and donate all the proceeds to his campaign, the net proceeds. And I think we're going to talk about designing a Trump Grassroots Army T-shirt to let him know that the Grassroots Army supports President Trump. And then I think I want to develop a How to Spot a Communist T-shirt. I think that would just completely and utterly cause a meltdown with the left. And so I'm going to work with my team. And if you're interested, I want to know what the feedback on that kind of merch would be. Would you guys be willing to support President Trump by buying a Trump T-shirt through the Grassroots Army, or support the Maddox's stance with How to Spot a Communist? If you guys would like to order some of those shirts, let me know. And if the feedback is positive and people are like, yeah, I'd buy it, then let's raise some money for President Trump as a Grassroots Army. I would love to do that and donate a pretty good check to his campaign and what he's doing. So you guys just comment in the section there below and say, yeah, I'd love to have one. I'm in. And then depending on the response, we'll move forward with that. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic, I think, which moves me on to the Fox News had an interview with President Trump this weekend, and they literally asked him if he was going to declassify 9/11, the JFK, and the Epstein files. And this is what President Trump had to say.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Attorney General.
Wow. Right from his mouth, right? So I think that is absolutely fantastic. Fantastic if he would do that, because that's what we want as a people. Hey, I don't care how dirty the truth is. Let's get it out. We want transparency, and we want transparency with what happened in the past. We want transparency with what happened with these 3-letter agencies, right? We want transparency with Fauci, the clown, and the WHO and everything else, and the power grab that they're trying to do. The American people want transparency. And as a Grassroots Army, we demand it. And that's why I always tell you, which at the end of this conversation today with all of you, it's accountability time. And I always told you guys ever since the beginning, 4 years ago, hold me accountable. Just because I say something doesn't mean that it's 100% truth. If I make a mistake in something that I report or I say, and you guys say, nope, that's not right, Garrett, you come out here and you call me out. And then if it's true that I was indeed, in fact, wrong, I'll fix it. That's the kind of man that I am. But here's what you have to remember is it's interesting when the grassroots, and some of us, and I'm going to give you an example before we move on, holds one of our own accountable, we're suddenly labeled a rhino, right? You can't hold grassroots folks accountable, because if you do, you're a rhino, you're part of the establishment. No, I told you all from the very beginning, if you follow me and listen to me, you like that about me, because I'm going to call you out on both sides of the aisle. If you do something stupid or something that I don't agree with, I'm going to call you out. And that's what happened with kind of like the Republican Party in the state of Michigan and stuff, is I did not agree with how it was running. And so I called our grassroots person out because she wasn't acting like a CEO. She wasn't fundraising. She wasn't helping people in the down ticket. She was just being more of an activist and not a CEO. And as the leader of a party and a state, you have to be a CEO. Your job is to fundraise and help the down ticket. And I called her out and I got attacked for it. Bottom line, I still hold true with what I said. You weren't being an effective CEO, and it's our job as a grassroots to call folks out. And that's why I want to move on before we talk about that, because I have something very important I want you guys all to do at the end of this. But let's talk about George. Here we go.
Political allies aren't up to their necks in this prosecution. I think the fact
There's
that
no
the Biden
evidence of that,
campaign was-
sir. There's no. I'm not going to let you continue to say that. There's just zero evidence of that.
Well, how about the
DA
fact
in
that
Manhattan
Matthew
is
Colangelo was standing over Alvin Bragg's shoulder when he announced this verdict? I mean, Colangelo was the #3 official in the Biden Department of Justice who suddenly disappears and shows up as an assistant district attorney right as Trump's case in New York starts to proceed.
After
you want
the
to talk
decision
about
was
political
made,
you want to talk about political
this
coordination?
has nothing
George,
to do.
it's right
This
there
has
in front of
nothing
you.
to do. No, it's not. This has nothing to do with President Biden. Do you want to answer the question about the sentencing process or not?
I completely disagree that this has nothing to do with President Biden. With respect to sentencing, as I said before, we're going to vigorously challenge this case on appeal. I don't think President Trump is going to end up being subject to any sentence whatsoever. And we look forward to getting this case into the next court and taking this again all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary to vindicate President Trump's rights.
So George Stephanopoulos is a clown, and he was upset that Trump's attorney, Will Scharf, that he was asserting that Alvin Bragg's case against Trump is politically motivated. Everybody who has a heartbeat, that has a little case of called common sense, knows that this case against President Trump is politically motivated. And that's why the majority of us hate the corporate media. We despise the corporate media because they're only going to push out a narrative. It's been proven time and time and time again over the past 4 years. And that's why more and more people follow personalities and influencers on social media, because they know they're going to get a glimpse of what truth is, or at least talk about scenarios. And the corporate media is literally hot garbage. And I despise George Stephanopoulos, always have. But again, I want to show another video of Megyn Kelly holding the corporate media, aka the communist lib media, accountable over what they're saying about this trial. So let's listen into this.
When you're spending $130,000,
I'll explain.
Go ahead. One, it's paying $130,000 to a porn star to keep her quiet. That's to try to protect your
that's not
campaign.
illegal.
Can we at least agree that's wrong?
That's not illegal. It's not
I didn't
illegal.
say it was. No. I just said moral
How
versus
is it
legal.
wrong? Are we talking moral?
I made it clear. I'm making it clear. For a minute, I'm talking about morality versus legality, right? There's no doubt that he engaged in.
All right, I'll tell. Here's my response to that, and I said this on my show the other day. I don't know what kind of weird marriage these two have. Same as I didn't know what kind of weird marriage Bill and Hillary Clinton had. So I don't know what their covenant is in terms of what he's allowed to do on the outside of his marriage.
But again, I don't mind the
For
sex,
me,
but
it
when
would
you're
be a
paying
serious problem.
but I'm not talking about the sex. I'm talking about the $130,000 to keep her quiet to his
That's
campaign.
immoral. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing.
Really? Okay. Look, again,
if somebody runs for office, they just lose the right to have any privacy. They just have to let us see all of their dirty laundry from the moment they declare forward, or somehow they've done something morally wrong or legally wrong.
when you're doing it to protect the campaign and you are spending money on it, then now I'm going to switch back to the legal. You are now crossing the line into legal problems.
So I want to talk about what he just said, because all I'm going to respond to that clown is a Hunter Biden laptop. Remember during election time, who buried that story? The corporate media. Who buried that story? Social media. Because they weren't not going to allow that story to come out, because it would have compromised Joe Biden and probably would have cost him the election, which we all know that the last election was shenanigans. Got to be careful what I say, because I'll get deplatformed. Still, you mention any of that, you get deplatformed, especially off of YouTube, and I'm on my third account. But all I have to respond to that clown is Hunter laptop. Let's move on.
Right?
You aren't. That's no, absolutely not right. Incorrect at every level.
Again, the idea that let me back up. And you don't think he falsified business records either?
I don't know what he did. I don't think he wrote
What does that
down
mean? We just had a whole
foreign payment to
trial.
Stormy
We heard
Let
every
me answer.
detail of this. How can you not know?
Let me answer.
Please.
Let me answer. I don't think he wrote down hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. Nobody who pays hush money would write down such a thing. I think he wrote down, or someone at the Trump organization wrote down, legal expenses from the drop-down Adobe menu. And that made as much sense as anything else because hush money wasn't an option. He was paying his lawyer who had made the payment to Stormy Daniels, and he was, I believe, reimbursing her, though he denied that, reimbursing him, though he denied that on the stand. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. I think you pay your lawyer money because he outlaid money for you. You could easily classify that as a legal expense.
No matter what it's for, right? Even if it's illegal conduct, you can just put it, it's a legal expense, right?
This wasn't illegal. There's nothing illegal about paying hush money for an NDA. It's done
There's not.
all the
But when
time.
you're doing it to protect your campaign, it is. That's the difference.
No. So, what law are you citing, Dan?
Campaign
what law?
finance laws. You're not allowed to give
Wrong.
the...
You don't know what you're talking
What
about.
are you talking?
You're wrong.
Explain to me.
Let me explain it to you.
Tell me what I'm
Let me
getting
explain
wrong.
it to you.
Tell me what I'm getting wrong. When you're spending
Campaign finance law will
$130,000,
I'll explain.
Go ahead.
I get it, because you're saying that there are limits to the campaign contributions somebody could make, and this has exceeded them, and then they hit it. I understand. That's his theory. However, this has been wrong from the start.
Yeah.
It does not amount to a campaign contribution if it is the kind of payment that could ever be made outside of the campaign context.
That's not the standard. The standard is
Yes,
substantiality. It's not. It's substantiality.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You're wrong.
Okay.
No, it's not.
I guess we're going to have to agree to
There's been Supreme Court precedent on this. Talk to Brad Smith, who was the FEC
court
commissioner.
After court
You're
that
wrong.
the standard
You're
is
wrong.
substantiality. All right.
That's what you have to do. You got to keep asking questions of them when they make these obscene freaking comments, and it holds them accountable, and they can't get themselves out of it. So that's what you do. That's the power of having conversation, and that's the power of asking questions, is you can combat each other and take that big puffy chest stance, or you can just ask simple questions, allow the other one to dig their own hole, or they say dig their own grave. Okay. So that's what has to happen. And that's why Fauci the clown should be held accountable, and for everything that he's done, because it just was released this past weekend. We all know that social distancing was garbage, and mandates were garbage, and the masks were garbage, and everything else that they did. There was no science behind it, even though all the libs were pushing all this nonsense studies that they were coming with up at the time. And lo and behold, we've been proven to be right yet again, all of us conspiracy theorists out there. So let's talk about something that made me smile yesterday, is the Pride Parade in Philadelphia. Watch this. Oh, my goodness gracious. So they try to have a nice little pride parade in Philadelphia, and then the pro-Palestine folks showed up and stopped their parade chanting, which I find it funny, and I still do, when they say like gays for Palestine. Somebody needs to tell them what happens to that group over there. They're not welcome. Let me just let the cat out of the bag. But what would have made that just absolutely fantastic, because I did a tiki-talk yesterday on this, is if right in the middle of that little fiasco, this little lady, Greta Thunberg, parachutes in with a climate change flag, right? That's what would have made the icing on the cake in this scenario, if Greta Thunberg would have parachuted in. But it didn't, unfortunately, happen. But I still slept well last night to watch them eat themselves in their ideology. That is for sure. And I'm going to end on this, which I talked about in the beginning of the show. Our job as a Grassroots Army is to hold folks accountable on both sides of the aisle. Okay? We may not agree on everything, but Ronald Reagan said it best. I think he said if we agree on 80% of the issues, we are friends and allies, and I would agree with him. So we can argue until the cows come home about certain policies and everything else. But what we should always do is hold people accountable. I believe in that. Even though somebody may have some momentum in the grassroots and created quite the following over the past several years. And if something comes about or some information, AKA some dirt, then we must look into it and then we must hold that person accountable. That's fair. You hold me accountable. We hold other people accountable. We have to make sure that we're getting the right people that represents all of us. And like I said, time and time again, I really feel there have been some bad actors throughout our country that have infiltrated our party at every level. And they're claiming to be these ultra mega folks, but indeed, in fact, they're really not. I really believe that some of these folks are Democratic plants and they're stirring up division within our own party to stop the party of the Constitution, the party of the people, the party for the working man, the party of beliefs and values, the party of America. And I truly believe that. So we have to reveal some of these folks. And my man, Scott McMahon, came on and talked about Mike Flynn. And I included in the description the article that he wrote. It's like 18 pages. There is a lot of information in there that he found. He put together a timeline. Now, I'm going to play the devil's advocate because this was done on me. Somebody wrote, I forget who it was, a very huge article, a timeline of me. And if you read that article, even I, when I read it, was like, holy cow, this person's horrible. How dare he? And it was about me. And so what you have to do when somebody puts together a timeline, because that timeline can be skewed and it can go off in different directions depending on what you find and what you want to believe, it's true. So the best thing that you can do is in this situation is when something like this is written about you, you come on and talk about it. Because I said time and time again, the problem with telling the truth is you don't have to remember it. And so what I did in my situation is I brought the article on and the live is still out there. You can find it. And I went through each section of that article, debunking all of it. Say, this is not true. This is what really happened. And that's what I want Mike Flynn to do, because Scott from Bigger Truth Media put out this article, and I had him on the show the other day, and a lot of people got very upset. And even Donna Brandenburg, who is close personal friends with the Flynn family, she ran for governor. Mike Flynn endorsed her, and she was very passionate about Mike Flynn. Okay, that's fine. We get very passionate about the folks that we believe in, but it doesn't give folks the right not to be held accountable. So I want you to listen into the interview that I had last week with Scott, and then you guys can all judge for yourself. The article he wrote is in the description, and I'm calling on Mike Flynn, and I don't care if he comes on this show or any other show. I don't care if somebody wants to host this interview, but I really think it's fair to have Mike Flynn on with Scott McMahon from Bigger Truth and have them have a conversation. I think that would be a fair show for all of you to see. And if you have nothing to hide, and let me point this out, if you have nothing to hide, you'd be like, absolutely, let's get on, let's hash this out, because we all want this country to move forward. But if he refuses to come on and talk about these things that Scott found about him in his past, then that's a warning flag. That's a warning siren. That is an alarm going off constantly. And so it's just very important. I hope he comes on, whether it be my show or another show, and just talks about this to put everything at ease, because it's starting to trending that he's a dirty bird. He's a dirty actor. So we'll see. But here's the interview, or a part of it, with Scott McMahon the other day.
Trump, that he had talked to him.
Well, Scott,
Yeah,
I want to show you this comment, and I want you to give me your 2 cents on it.
Okay, yeah. So following Donna Brandenburg, we had a conversation where you actually said, and I posted the recording of that conversation in my last podcast. You actually said that you were training people to go into township clerk's offices and demand paper ballots, one-day voting, no machines, or, in your words, goodbye to you. So that's not character assassination. This is your words. This is really dangerous.
So obviously we're kicking over some cans here. I mean, and this is what I think needs to happen. And I agree, like, we're not doing a character assassination by any means.
No,
I want to get to the truth, just like a lot of other Americans, because we have been constantly lied to on both sides of the aisle. And that's one thing that we have learned throughout the pandemic is, hey, look, we're going to ask questions. And as Americans, we have every right to have those answers because we are the ones that are suffering for it. And so that's what I want out of this is conversation. Because when you create an article and there's a story, then there's some things. And I've learned through campaigning that, hey, there are some narratives that was written about me that when I read them, I was like, holy cow, this guy's horrible. And I was reading about myself. And they tied in all this stuff that I was actually working for a company that was putting out COVID tests and COVID vaccines, and I was making millions of dollars off it. And that's why I did this whole thing. And as I was reading this article and they start putting this timeline together, I was like, holy cow, you can actually see how this may appear to be true. But what I did is I came on my show, I took that article and I went through and I dissected it. And guess what? It all went quiet from there on out. Transparency is the key. Yep. And when you have somebody who is on your staff that's working with you is calling for a very, I don't want to use the words, I don't want to clip the algorithms, but for some chaos to happen, that we need to have those conversations because it's not going to end good. That's for sure. Yeah. So, and Donna, she also said, maybe you should come on my show. Would you be to go on her show, Scott? Sure, I would. Yeah. All right. So just to be transparent with everyone, this is Donna's comment. All right. Well, I'm sure that'll be a fun show. So, well, I did my job. I sparked conversation. Now it's time for you guys to get together and have that show. And if you guys want to come on my show, it'd be perfectly fine. I'll mediate, but I think that conversation should happen. I think that's great. So good. Yeah. That's the whole point of these things. Fantastic. Yeah. And she said, game on. All right. So again, I'm not going to let this one go. I really feel that he should come on some show with Scott McMahon and talk about his findings and then clear the air. Now, I hope that the narrative that Scott put together is wrong. I truly do. I don't think we need any more division within the grassroots, especially at this time in the journey, because November's coming up fast. But that's why if this show can just happen and they can have conversation and Mike Flynn can say, no, that's not what happened. This is what truly did, and defend everything that Scott has found out about him, then I think that's fantastic. And that will show the grassroots that, hey, we can not only hold each other accountable, but we can get through these things together if we just have conversation. That's my belief. And so I'm hoping that this happens. I tagged Mike Flynn in this show again. Donna Brandenburg, you said you'd have Scott on your show. Please reach out to him. He's just at Bigger Truth on X and on Facebook. And you guys can have the show. If you want to come on here and have me mediate it or go on some other podcaster, that's fine too. I just want the show to happen. If it does happen, I will be sharing it here for all of you if it's not on my show. So we're going to see. I hope that they bite. But if he does not want to come on and defend himself, to me, that's a red flag. That truly is. All right. Until next time, God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan. Of course, and always, God bless these United States. Talk to you soon.